Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. You can download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. And on the news in full, the Senate has resolved to amend the Bureau for Public Procurement and Local Content Act to include local and new contractors in the handling of federal government contracts to stimulate grassroots economic development in the country. This followed a motion sponsored by Senator Suleiman Umar Sadiq, APC Kwara North in Abuja. Our National Assembly correspondent Topsy Gimba has the details.
Leading the debate on the motion, Senator Suleiman Umar Sadiq, APC Kwara North, noted that despite the existing local content policies and initiatives, including the renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund by the current administration, numerous small-scale federal government contracts, particularly below 50 million naira, often executed by larger and non-indigenous firms. Senator Sadiq urged his colleagues to support the motion to ensure local contractors are engaged to significantly enhance community participation, job creation, and increase productivity.
It reads that engaging local contractors for such contracts will significantly enhance community participation, job creation, increase productivity, foster a sense of ownership in public projects.
Jobs, contracts that are supposed to be awarded and executed by local contractors are given to foreigners. We don't, it's not as if we don't like foreigners, but no, people should not remain jobless.
Supporting the motion, Senators Sani Musa APC Niger East and Abdul Ningi PDP Bauchi Central urged the BPP to ensure local contractors are engaged in executing federal government contracts. Other senators Adamu Aleru APC Kebbi Central, Jibril Barrow Kano Central, Adams Oshomole APC Edo North, and Solomon Olamelekon APC Ogun West called for the amendment of the acts that establish BPP and local content to remove sections of the acts that provide the use of foreign contractors in handling local contracts.
All we need to do is to ask BPP to adjust their requirements so that everyone will be able to at least gain, and that will raise the economic activities in our localities.
We also have to educate, persuade, and enlighten Nigeria businessmen and women, particularly the construction industry.
In his remarks, the president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, said when the acts establishing BPP and local content were amended, would remove tough requirements to allow local contractors to execute federal government contracts.
Prayers that with the prayer that we have adopted today, I believe this will cure all the defects that we have found in the contracting system and the shortchanging of local contractors and even the unnecessary conditionalities of experience when you have never been given an opportunity.
The motion was unanimously adopted while urging ministries, departments, and agencies to include local companies in the award of contracts in the country. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global TV News.
President Bola Tinubu has called on Africans and people of African descent around the world to forge stronger bonds of unity, collaboration, and innovation to build a future rooted in honor, dignity, and progress for the black race. Speaking at a dinner reception held in its honor by the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Philip Perret, President Tinubu declared that the historical dispersal of Africans through slavery and colonization must not hinder the more than black world from uniting and shaping a brighter future. Addressing an audience that included St. Lucian's officials and members of the Nigerian community on the island, some of whom have lived there for over 30 years, President Tinubu reaffirmed his Afrocentric convictions and belief in the resilience and industriousness of black people globally. The Nigerian Senate has confirmed nominees for the Nigerian Law Reform Commission, NRRC, following President Bola Tinubu's June 2025 nominations. Dakas was nominated as chairman and Uchenna Okolocha and Fatima Alkali as commissioners. However, Fatima Alkali, who was nominated to represent the Northeast region, declined the appointment and communicated her rejection to the presidency. Over now to Kike Lomo Okere for more details.
Chairman of the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, Adeni Adegbamire, reported that the committee found Dakas, a senior advocate of Nigeria from the North Central region, and Uchenna Okolocha from South region to be fit and proper person for their position based on their qualifications, experience, competence, and integrity. The committee recommended replacing Alkali with another female nominee from the Northeast to maintain gender fairness.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it should be stated that this committee wrote the Presidential Liaison Officer on National Assembly Matters for the Senate and requested him to present the nominees for screening. However, the committee was informed that one of the nominees, Professor Fatima Alkali of the Northeast political region, declined the appointment and communicated same to the presidency. Recommendations.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, put confirmation to a voice vote, and nominees were confirmed except for Alkali, who had already declined the appointment.
Confirm the nomination of Dr. Uchenna Eugene Okolocha, representing South for appointment as Commissioner of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Dr. Uchenna Eugene Okolocha, representing the South region, is hereby confirmed as Commissioner of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission.
Kike Lomo Okere, Global Television News. Chairman of the
House of Representatives resolved to step down all bills transmitted from the Senate from concurrence, following what lawmakers described as consistent disregard by the Red Chamber for over 140 House-originated bills awaiting Senate action. During the heated debate on the undue delay of bills transmitted to the Senate for concurrence, the House stepped down 2 bills sponsored by the Senate leader, Senator Bamidele Okpeyemi. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion raised by the minority leader, Kingsley Chinda, in response to a Senate bill seeking to amend the Federal Orthopedic Hospital Management Act to establish the Federal Orthopedic Hospital of Bokun, Osun State, sponsored by the Senate leader. Now, in a major boost to rural connectivity and security in the Federal Capital Territory, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu commissioned the newly dualized 16.4-kilometer Ushafa War College Army Checkpoint Road in Buhari Area Council. President Tinubu, who was represented by Kashim Shettima, says the inauguration forms part of a wider 17-day ceremony across Abuja, including nearly 150 kilometers of new roads in satellite towns, reinforcing Tinubu's renewed hope infrastructure agenda. Godwin Sunday has details.
President Bola Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, commends the FCT Minister for the balanced infrastructural development across urban and rural areas, saying it is essential to national unity and economic growth. Tinubu highlighted the project as a corridor for agriculture, commerce, education, and security, urging local communities to take ownership and preserve the roadway.
And this shows the love you have for the satellite town residents. I want to thank you most sincerely. Look at this place now. Why do you need to stay in the city where you can drive from here to the city 25-30 minutes? And that is what is required. Those who say they don't want to see, may you don't see. God gave you eyes to see. He said you will not see. I have us say, don't see again.
FCT Minister Nyesom Wike thanked President Bola Tinubu and reaffirmed that connecting these key sites will enhance travel as well as open up new prospects for farming, education and commerce in outlying areas such as Ushafa Old Usama Dam and Abuja War College corridors.
not just the commissioning of a road, but the fulfillment of a promise. For too long, the journey between Ushapa and the War College Army checkpoint has been a test of endurance. Every commuter, every trader, every student, and every health worker who has traveled this road has felt the burden of delay and difficulties. That story changes today. With this project, we have transformed a path of frustration into a corridor of opportunity. These dualized and upgraded roads will not only ease traffic congestion, they will breathe new life into economic activities, improve access to education and healthcare, and uplift the overall quality of life for the good people of Ushapa, Buari, and the neighboring communities.
As Abuja expands its road into rural zones, local communities stand to benefit from easier access, security, and growth. Godwin Sunday, reporting for Global Television News.
Prominent opposition politicians, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Nambra State Governor Peter Obi, have arrived at the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Center in Abuja for a media conference for the emerging opposition coalition. The coalition, which cuts across the People's Democratic Party, Labour Party, Social Democratic Party, and other political interests, is meeting under the platform of the African Democratic Congress ahead of the 2027 general elections. Former President of the Senate David Mark has tendered his resignation from the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Mark, a founding member of the PDP, resigned from the party following his appointment as one of the interim leader of the coalition-backed African Democratic Congress, ADC. Announcing his resignation, the former Senate President, in a statement dated June 27th and signed by him, cited the leadership crisis in the PDP as the main reason for his resignation. The Senate has taken a significant step towards promoting green mobility and local manufacturing with the adoption of Senator Orji Uzor Kalu's Electric Vehicle Transmission and Green Mobility Bill 2025. The bill, which passed its first reading, seeks to establish a comprehensive framework for Nigeria's transition to electric vehicles. Kalu stated that the proposed legislation is designed to position Nigeria as a regional leader in clean energy transportation while boosting industrial capacity, adding that it is about creating thousands of jobs, driving local innovations, and ensuring that Nigeria does not lag behind in the global shift towards electric mobility. The Westminster Foundation for Democracy, WFD, has raised the alarm over the increasing course of politics in Nigeria. This follows the release of a comprehensive electoral timetable by the Independent National Electoral Commission for the 2025 and 26, including 5 major elections and the nationwide resumption of continuous voter registration. The report says the country's democratic future is at risk as women, youth, and persons with disabilities are being priced out of the political space, noting that justice itself is now about affordable to the highest bidder. The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, has inaugurated the 11-member governing board of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NAMASA. The ministry, while inaugurating the members in Abuja at the ministry's headquarters, charged them to prioritize national interests and work towards the development of the maritime sector. He emphasized that the board's decision and policies must be guided by national interests and directed towards the growth of the country and the advancement of its economy. Over now to the Supreme Court has adjourned indefinitely judgment in the legal battle on the Edo State governorship election petition. The Apex Court adjourned the judgment since die after taking arguments for and against the election that produced Senator Monday Okpebholo as a duly elected governor. Justice Garba Lawal, who presided over the hearing of the appeal filed by Asue Ighodalo and the People's Democratic Party PDP, said the date for delivery of the judgment will be communicated to the parties involved. You are watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. When News Cycle returns, Nigeria moves to overcome hurdles in regional trade integration. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, it's News Cycle on Global Television. And thank you for staying with us. In Business Now, President Bola Tinubu has urged West African leaders to move beyond fragmentation and missed opportunities, working towards deeper regional integration, collaboration, and shared prosperity. Tinubu, while speaking at the just concluded inaugural West African Economic Summit in Abuja, emphasized that West Africa is one of the last great frontiers of economic growth, but opportunity alone does not guarantee transformation. He further emphasized the need for West Africa to process its rare minerals locally rather than just exporting raw resources, advocating for regional manufacturing and value addition. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has advised the federal government to review 2025 54.99 trillion naira budget in view of lower than expected oil prices in the international market. According to the organization, Nigerians would grow at 3.4% on the back of higher oil output and falling inflation rate. The IMF noted the reforms undertaken by the President Bola Tinubu administration, especially the removal of fuel subsidies and the unification of exchange rates by the Central Bank of Nigeria, which is said were yielding desired results. The federal government has entered into a partnership with Charitomo Technologies to provide affordable credit to market women across 224 markets in 28 states. The managing director of Nigerian Customer Credit Corporation, Uzoma Uwegba, who was represented by the Executive Credit and Portfolio Management, Aisha Abdullahi, disclosed this while speaking with newsmen in Umuahia, said the initiative was aimed at the expanding financial access to informal sector workers, particularly women who are key players in local economics. He said about 1 million traders are being targeted in the initiative, which will begin in Alaria International Market in Abia State. The federal government of Nigeria has launched a $40 million initiative, the Blueprint ICT Development Project, aimed at transforming the country's tertiary education system through digital infrastructure and innovation. The project was announced by the Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, in Abuja, and will be implemented across 10 federal universities nationwide. Alausa noted that the project reflects a renewed national focus on digital transformation, inclusive education, and human capital development. The Debt Management Office says the federal government of Nigeria bonds accounted for 79.85% of the total domestic debt stock, which stood at 74.89 trillion naira as of March 31st, 2025. The figure was contained in the latest domestic debt report released recently by the management. In the management breakdown, federal government bonds amounted to 59.8 trillion naira, comprising 58.39 trillion naira in domesticated bonds and 1.41 trillion naira in US dollar-dominated bonds. On the foreign scene now, Iran's President Mossad Pezeshkian has signed a law suspending cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, amid growing tensions between Tehran and UN nuclear watchdog following Israel and US attack on Iranian nuclear facilities last month. The announcement comes a week after Iran's parliament passed legislation to suspend cooperation with IAEA, citing Israel's June 13 surprise attack on Iran and later strikes by the U.S. on Iranian nuclear facilities. According to the parliament resolution, the agency inspectors will not be allowed to visit nuclear sites without approval from Iran's Supreme National Security Council. United States President Donald Trump says Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions for a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza war, and it is now up to Hamas to accept the deal. Trump disclosed this in his platform Truth Social, adding that during the 2 months, the United States will work with all parties to end the conflict. Representatives from Qatar and Egypt, who have been heavily involved in the peace efforts, will deliver this latest proposal to the Palestinian Instruments Organization, Hamas. Over now to G7 has reaffirmed at The Hague that the Islamic Republic of Iran will never have nuclear weapons. The group indicated this in a joint statement released by its foreign minister and the high representatives of the European Union on recent events in Iran and the Middle East. The G7 has Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and United Kingdom and United States of America as members, while the European Union is a non-remunerated member. And in sports stories now, the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, has appointed 16 referees for the Nigerian National League Super 8 playoff tournament. The officials appointed are Nigerian Premier Football League, NPFL referee Solomon Awang from Plateau, Bashir Adamu, Kaduna, Abubakar Zubairu, Kastina, Anthony Eze, Federal Capital Territory, and Faro Abdurrahman, Lagos State. Other referees from Nigerian National League are Stanley Chibuku, Enugu State, Henry Osomo, Edo State, and Kalu Ezenchi, Abia State. Nigeria's highest-ranked fencer in Kosi Bow remains confident that his dream of qualifying for the Los Angeles 2028 Olympic Games is still alive, despite exiting in the knockout stage of the individual men's sabre event at the 23rd African Fencing Championship in Lagos. Egypt won the tournament, which was hosted from the June 25th to 29th at the Chatter House, Lagos. Nigeria's fencing sensation Bow, Nigeria's highest-ranked fencer at both junior and senior levels, showcased his talent at the Continental Tournament, which concluded over the weekend in Lagos. He advanced from the group stage, competing against a field of seasoned athletes. Head coach of the Yellow Greens and high-performance manager of the Nigerian Cricket Foundation, Steve Tilkolo, is optimistic that the team is making significant progress in the bid to pick up the 2026 International Cricket Council T20 World Cup ticket. The men's senior national cricket team resumed camping in Lagos last week ahead of the 2026 World Cup qualifiers and the ILT20 Cup. After winning the African Sub-Region C qualifiers last year, Tekolo's men will go against 7 other countries, and the qualifiers will be held in Zimbabwe from September 28th to October 4th. Before then, they will also play the ILT